Have you ever driven a neighborhood and thought, okay, what style is this? And why does it make me cringe? Maybe the ranch house next to your colonial cousin looks fine. Or maybe it looks like someone stuck two completely different decades together and called it charming. Today we're doing something bold. We're ranking house styles from worst to best, not by paint color or square footage, but by what people actually like these days. Resale value, curb appeal, regional popular demand, and the would I live here factor. So subscribe and buckle up, because it's time to tour America's open houses. Coming in dead last, we have the Italianate style. Mid-19th century Americans looked at Tuscan villas and thought, I can make that worse. These are the houses with tall, narrow windows that look like they're squinting in disapproval, heavy brackets that serve no purpose except to collect leaves, and sometimes a cupola sitting on top like a confused cherry. When built in the mid-1800s, these were statements, all right, statements that said, I have money and questionable taste. Architects like Alexander Jackson Davis helped popularize the style before it thankfully faded. Now they're like that relative who still wears Victorian corsets, unironically. It's our tragic loser because those thick walls make updating electrical a nightmare that would make contractors weep. Rooms are oddly shaped because rectangles were apparently too mainstream. Your utility bills will be higher than the homeowner's opinion of their own sophistication. Popular demand is basically non-existent unless you're running a haunted bed and breakfast. Resale value exists only in East Coast historic districts where preservation laws protect them from merciful demolition. You'll find these architectural relics clinging to life mainly in parts of New York, Massachusetts, and Pennsylvania, where historic districts keep them alive like expensive life support. Everywhere else, they're expensive museums you have to sleep in. At number 11, Spanish Colonial Revival. Americans fell in love with Spanish villa vibes and decided geography was just a suggestion. These homes are absolutely stunning in California, with stucco walls gleaming in the sun and red clay tiles catching the light. But see one in Minnesota during a blizzard? It's like a confused tourist who missed their connecting flight to Cancun. Those gorgeous red tiles crack faster than New Year's resolutions in freeze-thaw cycles. The stucco needs more touch-ups than an Instagram influencer when humidity hits. Architects like Addison Mizner made this style famous in the 1920s Florida, but they weren't thinking about Minnesota winters and layouts. Spanish Colonial never got the memo about open-concept living. You get compartmentalized rooms scattered around courtyards like architectural breadcrumbs. It shines in Southern California, South Florida, and parts of the Southwest where the climate makes sense. Everywhere else? You're basically cosplaying as a Spanish villa while shoveling snow off your Mediterranean dreams. Great for making you feel like you live in a postcard. Terrible for actual modern living unless you enjoy explaining to guests why your kitchen is in a different zip code from your living room. Bringing in the top 10, the shotgun house. Long, narrow, with rooms lined up like train cars, and about as private. The name supposedly comes from being able to fire a shotgun through the front door and have it exit the back without hitting a wall, which tells you everything about the layout. Want privacy? Too bad. There are no hallways. To get from the living room to the kitchen, you'll parade through 2 bedrooms, like you're leading a house tour. Interior rooms often feel like forgotten closets, and good luck explaining to guests why they have to walk through your bedroom to reach the bathroom. These make sense in New Orleans where they're cultural artifacts, or on tiny urban lots where every square foot counts. But for modern families who want things like privacy, separate spaces, and the ability to go to the bathroom without announcing it to the entire house, shotgun houses are cute in music videos and postcards, but living there with actual humans requires serious mental preparation and possibly noise-canceling headphones. Mid-Century Ranch is the number 9 pick. The wide, low house your grandparents had, complete with conversation pit and wood paneling that screams 1973. These homes dominated American suburbia from the 40s through the 70s, and some are still trying to figure out what decade they're in. The good news? Great indoor-outdoor flow with those sliding glass doors and patio access. Single-story living is perfect for accessibility. The bad news? Low ceilings that make you feel like you're living in a stylish cave, outdated insulation making your energy bills cry, and layouts that can feel disjointed with long hallways connecting rooms like a hospital corridor. A mid-century ranch works brilliantly in western states with mild winters and lots of sunshine, Arizona, California, parts of Texas. But in places with actual weather, you're basically living in a 1960s time capsule that needs serious updating to feel remotely current. It's retro cool if you're into that, but for buyers wanting contemporary style without major renovation, ranch often feels like settling for your parents' dreams instead of your own. Number 8. Victorian Queen Anne style. Because some people thought, what this house needs is more turrets, spindles, and opportunities for things to break. These are the houses that look like wedding cakes designed by someone on a sugar high. Sure, they're beautiful in that I live in a fairy tale way, with wraparound porches, stained glass, and enough ornate trim to bankrupt a small country's maintenance budget. But here's the reality check. Those gorgeous details require constant upkeep. Every spindle, every piece of gingerbread trim, every steep roofline is basically a money pit dressed up in Victorian finery. The layouts make no sense for modern living. Rooms connecting to other rooms, through mysterious doorways, weird corners everywhere, and heating bills that will make you gasp. They're romanticized in movies where nobody actually has to live there or pay the electric bill. Perfect for people who think character is worth more than functional floor plans and affordable utilities. Everyone else should probably just visit them as museums. The Cape Cod style earned number 7 on our list. It's the house equivalent of a cozy sweater that might be a little too small, but looks so classic you convince yourself it fits. Symmetrical facades, dormer windows, steep roofs, and that unmistakable "I belong in a New England postcard" vibe. These homes nail the efficiency game in cold climates. That compact shape helps with heating costs, and dormers add charm while squeezing extra space from the roof. They look fantastic covered in snow and scream traditional American values in all the right ways. But here's the catch: they're not spacious. Low ceilings can make you feel like you're living in a dollhouse, and the layouts weren't designed for modern open kitchens or great rooms. Unless you've massively renovated, you're working with spaces that were perfectly sized for 1940s families who apparently didn't need room to breathe. Cape Cod works beautifully in New England, where it belongs culturally and climatically. But for buyers wanting lots of light, open layouts, or style that travels well, it can feel tight, dark, and more limiting than charming. Great for people who prioritize quaint over spacious. Number 6 lands with the Tudor revival. Some people looked at medieval England and thought, you know what American suburbs need? More half-timbered facades and steep rooflines that collect leaves like a hobby. These homes have serious personality with their distinctive exteriors that make you remember them, which is both a blessing and a curse. The good, undeniable curb appeal and character that stands out in cookie-cutter neighborhoods. In the right area like the upper Midwest and parts of the Northeast, buyers still pay premiums for that storybook European vibe. The not-so-good interiors are often dark with small windows, sloping ceilings, and odd angles that make furniture placement an Olympic sport. Heating and cooling costs climb, because apparently medieval architects didn't understand energy efficiency. The style works great if you want to feel like you live in a fairy tale, terrible if you want modern conveniences like adequate lighting or logical room layouts, but perfect for people who prioritize drama and uniqueness over practicality. Everyone else might find themselves explaining to guests why the bathroom ceiling slopes at that weird angle and why your living room feels like a cozy cave. Breaking into the top 5 colonial style, the architectural equivalent of a reliable sedan. Symmetrical windows, centered doors, clean lines, and the foundational look of America in many people's minds. These homes have been the safe choice since the 1700s, with revivals happening every few decades when we remember why they work. The appeal is obvious: balance and predictability. Buyers love knowing what to expect: logical room layouts, proper proportions, and resale value that doesn't require explanation. Colonial homes sell well across the Northeast and South because they feel timeless rather than trendy. The downside? Sometimes they're too formal for modern living, with kitchens isolated from family spaces and layouts that prioritize propriety over flow. Older versions need constant maintenance for brick, mortar, and traditional windows that weren't designed for today's energy standards. Colonial is dependable. It won't blow minds, but it holds value and doesn't embarrass you at neighborhood gatherings. It's the style equivalent of a good handshake: classic, appropriate, and something you can build a relationship with. Not exciting, but you won't regret it either. The Craftsman Bungalow comes in at number 4. Finally, a style with actual soul. Low-pitched roofs, generous porches, natural wood everywhere, and built-ins that were crafted when handmade actually meant something. These homes have warmth and character that makes generic new construction look embarrassed. The magic is in the details: exposed beams, cozy fireplaces, built-in cabinets that actually fit their purpose, and front porches that invite you to sit and pretend you have time for relaxation. Brothers Charles and Henry Green perfected this style in California, creating homes that still make modern architects jealous. Even older craftsman homes often showcase better craftsmanship than modern builds costing twice as much. The challenges: older homes mean potential maintenance for wood rot, outdated systems, and room sizes that predate modern furniture. Some lack the open flow today's families expect, requiring renovation to connect spaces naturally. Craftsman thrives in the Pacific Northwest, West Coast, and scattered neighborhoods across the country where people appreciate authenticity. If you want a home with personality and don't mind some updating, Craftsman delivers style and comfort in ways that feel genuine rather than manufactured. It's the house equivalent of finding a perfect vintage jacket: classic, distinctive, and worth the investment. Cracking the top 3: contemporary California modern, the style that makes your Instagram followers jealous and your heating bills cry. Floor-to-ceiling windows, clean lines, indoor-outdoor flow, and minimalism that looks effortlessly expensive even when it's not. This style exploded with mid-20th century modernism and keeps resurging because it delivers everything people want: light, space, flow, and those bifold doors that make your living room blend seamlessly with your patio. High ceilings, minimal ornament, and layouts designed for actual modern living instead of Victorian propriety. Architects like Richard Neutra and Joseph Eichler made this style iconic in California, proving that sometimes less really is more. The catch: those gorgeous glass walls are energy vampires in cold or humid climates, unless you've invested serious money in high-performance windows. Flat roofs look sleek, but can leak if built poorly, and maintenance includes constant glass cleaning plus explaining to guests why your house has no cozy corners. California modern dominates in its natural habitat: Los Angeles, San Diego, Seattle, Austin, where climate and culture align. It's aspirational architecture that photographs beautifully and lives even better when everything works. Perfect for people who want to feel like they're starring in their own design magazine. Number 2 is the Mediterranean Revival, because nothing says "I've made it" like living in your own personal Italian villa fantasy. Stucco walls, red tile roofs, courtyards with fountains, and decorative ironwork that whispers sweet promises about afternoon espressos and evening wine. This style peaked in the wealthy coastal areas during the 1920s and 30s, when rich Americans wanted to cosplay European elegance. Today, in the right climates, Mediterranean Revival still signals status, permanence, and seriously good taste. It's romance and luxury wrapped up in architectural form. The investment requirements are real. Tile roofs that can break, stucco that cracks, decorative elements that rust or degrade, and heating systems that weren't designed for climates with actual winters. But buyers who can afford the upkeep love the timeless sophistication. Mediterranean Revival kills in Southern California, South Florida, and parts of Texas where the climate supports the fantasy. It's the architectural equivalent of driving a luxury car, expensive to maintain but undeniably impressive when done right. Perfect for people who want their home to feel like a permanent vacation destination rather than just a place to sleep. Landing at number 1 is the modern farmhouse, the undisputed champion of American home styles and proof that sometimes the crowd actually gets it right. White siding, black windows, board and batten, gabled roofs, big porches, and interiors that somehow manage to feel both rustic and sophisticated. This style exploded in the 2010s thanks to HGTV, Instagram, and everyone's collective desire to live like Joanna Gaines. But unlike most design trends, modern farmhouse delivers on its promises. Warmth plus modern convenience, style plus functionality, and spaces designed for actual family living. The numbers don't lie. It dominated polls in 42 states and consistently ranks as buyers' dream home across demographics. Resale value stays strong because the style combines universal appeal with practical layouts. Those big kitchens, open floor plans, and family-friendly designs work for everyone from young couples to grandparents. The challenges? Popularity means your street might look like an HGTV fever dream, and quality details like black windows and board and batten add up fast. A modern farmhouse in the desert might feel forced compared to one in rural Texas, but here's why it wins. Modern farmhouse is the rare style that makes people stop, take photos, and say, "That's the one." It's aspirational without being intimidating, stylish without sacrificing comfort, and beloved without being boring. In 2025, it's as close to a sure bet as housing styles get. So there you have it. From Italianat's faded grandeur at the bottom to modern farmhouses' reigning popularity at the top. Before you fall in love with any style, ask yourself, do you live in a climate that supports it? Do you want style, comfort, or both? How much maintenance are you willing to handle? Sometimes bringing modern touches to a lower-ranked style, open floor plans, bigger windows, energy upgrades, can rescue it into something fresh. But if you're buying for resale, betting on broadly loved styles like craftsman, contemporary, or modern farmhouse is safer than going ultra-niche unless you know your market inside out. What do you think? Did we nail it or completely miss the mark? Are you Team Tudor or Team Modern Farmhouse? Let me know in the comments.